All right, so get this. Ambrose Bierce, right? He just vanishes. Poof.
Like something out of one of his stories.
Yeah, but it's real life, and we're going to take a deep dive into it today. By the way, I'm host Name.
And I'm Expert Name, joining you to explore what might have happened.
Yeah, so Bierce, this guy, he's not just some, average Joe who disappeared. This is Ambrose Bierce, author of The Devil's Dictionary.
Oh, yeah. I mean, talk about a mind fascinated by the darker side of things.
He was obsessed with death, like really obsessed.
Mhm.
And then in December 1913, he just takes off for Mexico at 71 years old.
During the Revolution, no less. Not exactly a peaceful vacation spot.
Nope, not at all. And that's the last anyone ever hears from him. Vanished. Gone. So the big question is, what happened to him?
Did he stumble into some terrible fate? Or was it something more deliberate? Like he planned the whole thing.
That's what we're here to figure out.
I mean, when you look at the sources, his life, and especially his writing, it's hard not to see the connections.
Absolutely. So before we get too deep into the theories, let's lay some groundwork. Who was Ambrose Bierce, really?
Well, like you said, he was a writer, and a pretty cynical one at that, but there's more to him than just his words.
Right. I mean, the guy lived through the Civil War.
Yeah, and fought in it. Saw some of the most brutal battles firsthand. That experience, I mean, that leaves a mark.
For sure. It's got to shape your worldview.
Oh, absolutely. It definitely influenced his writing, that's for sure.
And probably how he saw the Mexican Revolution too, right? I mean, going there at that time.
It wasn't just some impulsive decision, that's for sure. It feels very deliberate, especially with his background.
Okay, so let's look at this. Before he leaves, he writes this letter. It's the last one anyone has from them.
And it's a bit cryptic, to say the least.
Oh, definitely cryptic. He says something like, "As to me, I leave here tomorrow for an unknown destination."
Chilling, right.
It sounds so intentional, almost like a goodbye.
Well, Bierce loved to play with language. He could spin a simple phrase into something much deeper.
So is that just his writing style, or is there a hidden meaning there?
Honestly, it's impossible to say for sure, which is what makes his disappearance all the more intriguing.
Totally. So he goes to Mexico. And, I mean, Mexico in 1913, it was a war zone.
Yeah, I mean, revolution, armies clashing, political chaos. Not exactly safe for a 71-year-old, even if he was a Civil War vet.
Yeah, and get this, he actually travels with Pancho Villa's army for a while.
Yeah, talk about putting himself in the thick of it.
So when we talk about his disappearance, we got to consider the context, right?
Yeah.
I mean, so many things could have happened.
Absolutely. It's easy to get caught up in the mystery, but we have to remember the very real dangers he was facing.
Exactly. So let's look at some of the theories. One of the most straightforward ones is, well, he died in battle.
It makes sense, right? He was in the middle of a war, witnessing intense fighting.
Right. A stray bullet, an explosion, anything could have happened.
It was a chaotic time. Records weren't exactly well kept. It's entirely possible he died in the fighting and was never properly identified.
Okay, that's plausible. But what about execution? Some sources say he might have been mistaken for a spy.
Yeah, tensions were high, suspicions ran deep. He was an American, traveling with a rebel army. It's not hard to imagine someone getting the wrong idea.
Especially if he was asking too many questions, trying to get the real story for his writing.
Exactly. He could have easily been seen as a threat.
And then, of course, there's the desert theory.
The unforgiving vastness of the Mexican desert.
Lost, disoriented, succumbed to the elements.
It's a bleak image, but definitely possible, especially if he was traveling alone or got separated from the army.
All those theories, they're all possible, right?
Yeah.
But then there's the one that really makes you think.
The staged disappearance.
Yeah, that Bierce decided, hey, I'm out of here. I'm going to vanish. Write my own ending.
It's like something straight out of one of his stories, isn't it? The master of illusion disappearing into the unknown.
Right. And given his personality, his fascination with death and the unknown, it almost makes sense.
He did write, "Nothing matters." Maybe he truly believed that and decided to live, or rather die, by that philosophy.
But why disappear? Why go through all that trouble?
Maybe he wanted to control his own narrative, escape the constraints of his life. Or maybe it was a final grand gesture, a commentary on the absurdity of existence.
Like a final, dramatic punctuation mark on his life's work.
It's a pretty tempting theory, especially considering no trace of him was ever found.
Nobody, no grave, no definitive answers, just like he stepped into one of his own twisted tales.
And in a way, that's the perfect ending for Ambrose Bierce. The mystery lives on. He becomes a legend, a ghost story whispered through literary circles.
So here we are, over a century later, still asking what happened to Ambrose Bierce.
And I don't think there's a definitive answer. We have the facts, the theories, his writing, but ultimately it's up to each of us to decide what we believe.
Did he meet a tragic end? Was it a deliberate escape? Or something else entirely?
We may never know for sure, but that's the beauty of a mystery like this. It keeps us thinking, keeps us questioning.
Keeps his story alive. And who knows, maybe that's exactly what Bierce wanted all along.
Maybe.
So what do you think? Let us know in the comments below. And don't forget to like and subscribe for more deep dives into history's greatest mysteries.
See you next time.
See ya.